Hello, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk Real Estate and Stuff. Coming to you live from around the state of Florida, where I'm wearing a sweater for once, and the window's open.
I'm always wearing a sweater.
Well, that's because you keep your office cold. I was saying I've got the window open and I'm still wearing a sweater. But if you haven't subscribed, it is. If you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube or social media like Instagram, please do that. Today, we're going to be talking about holiday season, separation season, what that means, what it means to be a real estate investor this time of year, and then as well some updates, which there's a lot of interesting things going on in the world. So usually we do all the interesting stuff in Pulse of the Week, but we're going to do some of it in updates this week. There's a company that probably everybody's heard of at this point in time called FTX, and they filed for bankruptcy fully, or they just, yes, right? Yes.
Yeah, they filed. I mean, I don't know what the word fully, how that means. Once you file. I guess it's not obviously gone through.
They tried to get acquired first, though, right? And then that failed, and then they filed for bankruptcy. Is that how it worked?
Yeah. I mean, they ran out of their options, out of money. Out of money. Can't meet liquidity needs.
I know. Crypto, interesting world. But, I mean, I thought FTX was kind of interesting because of the CEO. And how much money he was worth, how much money he was making. And, I mean, he still walked away with a buttload of money. But investors and the average person relatively screwed by FTX? What are you guys? I'm not as into the crypto world as you two are.
I could really see Jonah Hill playing a phenomenal SBF in a fucking real world take on this, like making a movie of this, you know?
Yeah, amazing. 100%.
It's kind of like Wolf of Wall Street meets The Social Network, you know?
Yeah.
And you combine those things together. I don't know if Amazon Prime or Netflix wants to get with me on my movie idea, but I'm willing to sell this idea.
Dude, you got me sold. That's a fantastic. I don't know if you had that prepared or that was off the cuff, but Jonah Hill, dye his hair black, add a little bit more weight, make him shake during interviews, make him a little bit more awkward would be absolutely perfect for that role. FTX. And I'll kind of say my general perspective. So the FTX arena is right by me that we're throwing in at least an opening bid to rename it the REI Ops Center.
Carlos and I actually looked up pricing of different.
Did you really?
Papa P
Yeah,
did.
we were messaging each other back and forth. I said, "Do you know how much like naming rights go for?" And he was like, "No." And then I just started Googling, and ESPN has a site, albeit a little old, from like the 2010s era, all the way up to like 2019, but it's surprisingly not expensive. I mean, in relative terms of your money and net worth. But yeah, I mean, for a couple mil a year, right, Carlos? I mean, some of them were higher, some of them were low. It depends on the sport and the stadium and the city. But if you're willing to shell out $1 or $2 or $3 a year to have naming rights, you can have yourself a stadium named after you.
That's it? Just a couple million? Hey, that's not bad.
Just remember, for everybody listening, you heard it here first. When your favorite guru goes out, and instead of Lambos now, instead of e-com stores, they're going after stadium ownership and naming rights. Remember where they got the idea from. That's the new Lambo.
Got it. Heard it here first.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is that I mean, there's just some deep rabbit holes, which I'm even listening to Take It Live.
I can, but it's a spammer.
Oh, okay.
The only people that call me from my home area code are spammers. I don't know anybody in my home of York, PA, unless it's Eric Brewer giving me a call to be like, "Bro, why haven't you gotten a novation yet?"
I'll get it one time. I know the audience is bloodthirsty for Papa P to answer a live seller call. But yeah, the FTX thing, I mean, you can go down rabbit holes. I was even watching stuff this morning of kind of how deep and intricate it is as far as like where they're funneling money to, political affiliation, all types of crazy stuff that maybe we can touch on that a little bit. But my general perspective is...
Democrats.
Yeah, my general perspective is like I started seeing like Tom Brady, Steph Curry, all these household sports people, that were endorsing
for promoting it.
Yeah, for promoting it. And when somebody like that is promoting a product, it's like about as no-brainer as possible that you at least think it's not going to be a scam and you're just going to like lose your money overnight.
Is that
which
true?
is crazy.
That is that fucking true.
For all the people like me out there, what did they do wrong?
No,
Why did they fail?
No, bro. No.
Yeah, Poppy, break it down like what actually happened.
I'm not doing that because nobody knows. Anything anybody says is pure fucking speculation other than him having a backdoor, funneling money out, using their funds for his personal gain. Some people are saying this for how no one knows shit until they do a full audit of his books, which to my knowledge isn't done yet, and it's probably going to be a while till they unravel it. So you'll have to wait for the Jonah Hill movie to come out to find out what really happened. Anyway, I'm just saying, if your fucking investment thesis is based on Tom Brady buying a football player, a fucking football player, I'll say it again, a football player, and Steph Curry, a basketball player, buying into something that's the reason why you buy it, you deserve to lose your money.
Sure.
You shouldn't be allowed to sue anybody. In fact, they should sue you for stupidity. That's my belief.
I'm saying that doesn't make it a sound investment. What I'm saying is if those people are endorsing it, it should at least have a seal of approval that it's not a Ponzi scheme scam.
It shouldn't. Reggie Bush, on every fucking Sunday that I watch TV, is over here the spokesperson for Wendy's. That motherfucker did not become an NFL running back by eating Wendy's. How about the jacked people on TV using the fucking shake weight like this, trying to be like, I got jacked because of a shake weight. It's typical advertising, and if you're dumb enough to fall for it, you're dumb enough to lose your money, and you should lose your money, and you probably shouldn't have had money to begin with.
Subway sandwiches.
Yeah, Jared.
Yes,
he got arrested for molesting little kids, and that was everyone's spokesmodel for a while. Was walk to Subway and lose weight.
Have not eaten from there. Have not eaten from there, which I think we've brought on this show that they've had an ingredient in their bread that was not allowed in any other country. I think we've brought that up on this show before.
Really? That's funny. I haven't eaten there in years.
Yeah.
Thank God, because me and my daughter that was my daughter's favorite food. So and it's literally
that's
like
college.
3 houses down from We used to
Mm-hmm.
just walk down. It's right next to our house. We just walk over on Saturdays to get subs for dinner, subs for lunch. Thought I was losing weight. Apparently I wasn't. I was supporting child molestation, which is not cool.
That's the advertising,
Jared.
That's the advertising they're trying to play into you with.
Yeah. Is he in jail? He's in jail, right?
Yeah.
Is he?
Pretty sure.
You guys move on why I Googled Jared from Subway in jail.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the FTX stuff is just crazy. The arena right here is FTX Arena. That's kind of how I first saw the commercials, and now it's just like this whirlwind of stuff going on. I'm assuming that crypto in general is taking a short-term contagion. What's the definition of where it just contaminates the entire industry because of that? That they're saying like contagion or something like that.
Like it taints everything else around it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I guess you would link all this back to Terra Luna then, if that's what you were gonna say, and then you could link all that back to the Biden administration. Then you can link all that back to the Trump administration. Then you can link all that back to the COVID announcements. You can link all that back to Fauci. And when you really want to, it's just mass hysteria did all this, man. It was one thing after another that led to the stimulus, that led to all this stuff, and it led to the stress on the economy, and it led to people pulling their funds, and then it led to the hedge fund doing the thing to Do Kwon, and then there's still skeptics of whether he knew what was going to happen and not, and people are saying Terra Luna and Do Kwon, they were pulling money out. I don't know whether any of that's true, and then Alameda and the hedge fund, it's all linked together in some way as you're going into a down market.
Man, Papa P has the path mapped out.
That's what he literally has it mapped out on the whiteboard there. If we zoom in, we can see the whole we can see the whole thing what's going on.
No, I mean, I guess there's no guarantee that's what it is, but when you're talking about liquidity crunches, it's like the modern day run on a bank. And when you can't match that, and I get it, man. You know, he's robbing Peter to pay Paul, and eventually Bernie made off the shit out of it until he couldn't get it done.
Crazy.
But what do you expect when you have fucking, what is he, 20-some years old?
Yeah, something like that, right?
You have a 20-some-year-old recluse in the Bahamas. Basically,
he doesn't even live here?
Well, I mean, he's in the Bahamas, man, and I guess he has all of his close buddies in the Bahamas with him. It's kind of like I mean, dude, we're gonna find out a lot of stuff in this Jonah Hill movie. I'm pretty excited for it to come out. So when it does, I'll know more about this little group that he had and apparently all the sexual escapades they had going on there, and all it's all rumors, dude. That's all it is at this point. But yeah, there's a lot of people pulling their funds out, and rumor has it is there's other BlockFi is going to file for bankruptcy potentially too, and that could lead to other things. People are saying potentially Coinbase could have problems, but they're publicly traded, so I doubt it. I mean, there's a lot of money tied up in this. I don't think it speaks negatively on crypto in and of itself. To say that would be like saying medicine was bad in the 17 and 1800s. You had people running around selling snake oil.
Is this kind of like the .com bubble where it's like everybody got excited, it then settled, and then actual real life sustainable website
metaverse Web3 type stuff? Yeah, I would say metaverse Web3, sure.
Could be. I mean, who knows where it's going to go? But isn't that the point of not knowing?
Right. We're here for the ride, people. We're here for the ride.
You win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
It's just money. You know.
Speaking of money, the market doing some interesting things. So we the three of us have been sharing some news.
Hey, Jared is still in jail, by the way. Just throwing that out there. 15 years.
He's stay there forever.
He's staying in jail until 2030. So parents, lock up your children when 2030 comes.
That's like the guy that was
stay at a Subway. If you go to a Subway, don't go to Subway in 2030. I'm surprised they're still there.
What was I saying?
We've been sharing some stuff. We've
been sharing some market interesting things between each other. But it's also funny timing. Like, I'm trying to pull it up here. But at the same time where things are like looking like they're getting rough and mortgage rates keep increasing because the Fed keeps raising, it's rumored that they'll slow down now that inflation is slowing, whatever. The house across from my house finally sold. It had been on the market for 4 months. Somebody from New York bought it. My friend is trying to sell his dad's house out on the beach here in Florida. He's got people coming in interested in it. So there's definitely, it's funny because I'm personally seeing movement in the real estate market now versus before when things are saying, I'm trying to find the forwarded email that I sent you guys. Let me go.
Yeah, mortgage interest rates have gone down. I read a different article where they were saying...
They've gone down? I thought they went up.
No, well, they go up and they go down. It basically follows the 10-year. So, I mean, it's usually a couple points higher than the 10-year, and the 10-year is at like 3.7, 3.8. And I only say this stuff because I literally have a TV directly across from me that right now, the 10-year fixed is, I can't see it. But I have CNBC right there that plays it all day long. And I just watch what it says every time I glance over. That's what I'm looking at, is to see what the current rates are. But the mortgage interest rates are at like between 5 and 6 right now. 5.9, 5.56, 5.5.
That's not bad at all.
4.3. But they came down. But here's the thing: is I also read that they're going to go back up and down, especially through December, as we see what happens with the holiday spending and inflation. But people are saying that by Q1 we're going to be settling into the 5s for good. Whether that's true or not, I guess only time will tell. But that's not that bad. When I bought my first house, I bought it at like 5 point something. 5%, 5.2, 5.3, 5.5. I don't know.
I was having dinner at a friend's house this week, and he was talking about his childhood. And he's like, I remember when my dad bought his house with his new wife, 20 years ago, and they were happy to get 15%.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I was like,
and you just plan, like, I remember my dad and mom, like, I remember multiple times they refinanced. I mean, back then I don't think I really knew what that was, but yeah, they refinanced.
Did not come prepared, guys. I can't find the chart.
But, so good. I can talk about inventory whenever we transition out of that.
What inventory? The
inventory that I sent, how there's like there's inventory surge in some places. John has this teed up, so I'll go after that.
No, I don't think we're waiting for John, bud. So he's
looking around aimlessly. I'm so close, guys. All right. Here we go. Boom. No, can't do it. Never mind. So, Google Chrome needs to restart. I mean, it's just as the housing market turns, home flippers are struggling. So the percent of home listings with a price drop. So it's saying from 2022, at the very bottom it said 2% of homes had a house drop, and now it's like all the way up to like 7%, which is its highest in the whole length of the chart, which is only from 2019 to 2022. But also the funny thing is, Redfin, Zillow, and Open Door are just like absolutely crashing right now.
They're laying people off.
Mm-hmm. Redfin on Wednesday announced that they would be sunsetting their home flipping business. Redfin now joining the long list of companies with layoffs, cutting 13% of their workforce. So we talked about them before, like how they don't buy right versus a typical real estate investor that we all work with, who's really focused on the numbers. And it was interesting. I was having meetings this week, and we were also talking about Redfin and Open Door and Zillow, and it's like they work really well in an up market, but in a down market, their business model just cannot survive because of pricing. So interesting time to be a real estate investor. Yeah, I think it will be fun. But that's exciting to hear about the mortgage rates, maybe potentially settling at 5%. I'm also intrigued to see what happens with inflation through the holidays as people decide whether or not to spend money. Like keep seeing all these news articles about debt, and it's at its highest ever, which mostly includes mortgages, but credit card debt is also well above normal. And if people have been stretching themselves thin now, will that mean that they finally correct themselves in December? Or are they just going to keep pumping money into the market? Fun stuff.
It is. You guys need to watch the Tim Dillon video. I'm going to keep resending until you guys check it out because it's just so spot on. And he would conclude that we will just keep compiling debt because that's who we are as a country.
Agreed.
We're sending more over to Ukraine. I just read. I have another TV that has Bloomberg on all day, and Biden's trying to get more money for Ukraine, and I'm just like, just send me some of that money.
Mm-hmm. Is that strictly just for being an ally to Ukraine, just aiding Ukraine just to be an ally? Is that the purpose?
It's like another fucking Cold War, but not even a Cold War. It's like what's the term where you're funneling? What is that called?
Embezzlement?
No, where you're almost fighting the war, but it's not you. You're providing everything to somebody else. What is that called? We used to do it with the CIA when they would go in and like make some force do something else. Anyways, I think Russia's stupid, and I think that they should get stuck to it, but I also totally disagree with the amount of money that's going into it. I feel bad for the people of Ukraine, like it's not their fault.
I don't feel bad for them. Why the fuck am I going to feel bad for them? What the fuck's going on in Ukraine that anyone gives a shit about from America? Why? There's people dying every day in every country, and just because it's on the news, people in Africa are dying. There's people in the Middle East dying. There's people over in China dying. I mean, people die all the time. There's always internal conflicts. There's always civil wars going on in different countries. We talk about it in Ukraine, and everyone wants to fucking feel bad about it. It's like when hurricanes hit, all of a sudden we all give a shit about Cuba and Puerto Rico and the Bahamas. Every other time of year, no one gives a shit about them. And now all of a sudden, something's happening.
Where is the center of attention on?
Like Jesus Christ, who gives a shit? People die every day, and no one cares if you're not directly related, correlated, or know something like relationship-wise to those people. Otherwise, you shouldn't care. You couldn't possibly care that much about people you don't know. And if you do, I think you have internally something going on that's wrong with you if you want to put all of your care into people in another country that you don't fucking know about.
Over yourself or over
yourself
completely.
Or your immediate family and your immediate needs, that you would stop work, you would stop taking care of your family, you would stop your internal beliefs. We have so much shit going on here at home that we need to focus on. I don't know why we give a shit about Ukraine. I get it, we're the biggest country and we're supposed to care about all these things and help everybody. But I mean,
historically, what has that done for us in the Middle East?
Yeah, I mean, what does Ukraine have to offer us? Can we get oil from them or something that we can go over? I mean, other than their coders, I mean, we could steal all their software coders. At least when we went in Afghanistan, like we had oil, we were trying to get a stranglehold on. That at least made sense. But you know,
yeah.
Anyway, real estate stuff. It is the holidays, so
It
a
is
lot
the
of
holidays.
stuff changes coming around the holidays. I've already started training my team to start talking about closing before the holidays, getting them money before using those terminologies, getting them money before the holidays. Would you like to close this before the holidays? We have also started getting the call me in the new year. Call me sometime the beginning of the year, call me after the holidays, call me in February, call me in January. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to move. I don't want to do this. So that stuff happens during this time, and you have a choice. Do you slow down or speed up?
It is a good question. And I think let's kind of break it down to like the different aspects. So, I mean, you just kind of mentioned the seller pain points, right? Like who wants to move. But I think I remember you telling me that you've had situations in your past where it didn't matter to a seller. They were still like, I need to solve this pain problem now. Like, I'm not going to wait till January. So are there still situations like that out there?
Yeah. I've been doing this for like 13 years, and even as a realtor in my beginning times, there are always like, I have double closed people from their selling their house and moving into a new house like a week before Christmas, like the 20th or whatever it was. I'd have to look up the exact date, but it was like days before Christmas. She was living with, you know what I mean? Like just trying to get everything packed, living in boxes, just trying to get into this new house, all so she could be in by Christmas. You have those people. And then you have the people who don't want to do anything till after Christmas. So you have a lot of closings scheduled right after Christmas, and they start packing after like the 25th. They're like packing up boxes for the next like 4 days, and they're moving on the 30th. And then you have the title companies who get jam packed at the end of the year, and then you could have potential issues with closings if you don't have everything in order. Everything slows down. The courthouses slow down. The title companies slow down, other realtors, other wholesalers, other investors, hard money lenders, banks, everyone's slowing down because everyone goes on family vacations. They leave prior to the 24th. They come back after the 25th. It takes a day before and a day after, in my mind, for people to catch up, unless you're working with a bunch of hustlers and they're just pushing through regardless. But even then, it's not up to the hustler. It's up to the title company. So your title company better be a hustler and ready to burn the midnight oil until the 24th. But they are going to take off the 24th. They are going to take off the 26th. And then you're probably back, and it depends on what day it falls. I don't know where we're at on Christmas this year. I haven't even looked.
Yeah, Sunday?
I have no idea. You tell me.
You're making me load up my calendar. Hang on.
I got it. It is a Sunday. So
hey, I guess.
We may be back in. So pretty much, we may not have that bad of a stuff because it's a Friday. You could work up till Friday and then hit back on Monday. But I mean, I've had it where people take off before that. They're heading away on vacation and stuff. People start sending out that default email on the holidays. Be back in the new year.
Yep.
And then that last week, that last week is always a wash too. Looking at the calendar, we happen to be lucky that all the holidays fall on the weekend. So you don't really lose much work per se.
Yeah. In general, what traditionally has been your volume like around holiday season in comparison to the rest of the year?
Always lower.
Always lower.
Do you stack more in January? Like, does January end up being bigger because of December being lower? Because people
yes and no. My pipeline gets bigger because I have a lot of people I'm calling in January. If you actually do your follow-ups, but if you actually do your follow-ups, and then my pipeline slows down. I'm also a big Christmas person, and so like when we talk about like the different seasons, I do slow down over the holidays. 100%. And I might do it again this year. I might completely slow down over the holidays, not just because of the economy, but just because I like to spend time with the kids and stuff. And there's other stuff that I do. That's just a personal preference, but I know a lot of people, and I told you guys I always feel guilty about it too.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that here in a little bit because I have similar kind of perceptions on it. You said something interesting when we were talking about this topic. You said that you have to be aware of your pipeline with how long it takes from lead coming in to close, that if you don't have enough pipeline, or you have to be aware of like where all your deals are or potential deals are, because you run into like the time blocks of the holiday. So 3 weeks of your normal from lead to close might turn into 4 or 5 because of the holidays.
So it depends on your closing time frame, but if you're talking to somebody today, right? Thanksgiving doesn't really mess with you, so you're probably going to be closing into either somewhere between the 8th and the 15th, most likely in the week of the 15th. December. But then when you start getting into that next week, you have to be very cautious. So like if I come back next week into the office during Thanksgiving week and I'm talking about closing them and it's the 23rd, 24th, and we do typically 21-day closes, unless it's a really hot deal that I know I can find a buyer on. I mean, typically I need time to find a buyer, wholesale the transaction. We love 30-day closes. But I think typically we're doing between 21 and 30. So right there, man, if I'm coming back after the Thanksgiving week talking to somebody, I mean, that's going to bring me into the week of the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd. And my title companies may be leaving early. My buyer may not be in town. Like all these things happening. And it's real easy for them to say, you know what, let's just close the week after Christmas.
Yeah.
And then, or hey, let's just close this in the new year. And that you could push back on. But then you got to make sure your title company has openings for you to close come the end of the year. It always sucks to close on Fridays. It always sucks to close on the end of the month, and it most definitely sucks to close at the end of the year and at the end of each quarter. So I always try to avoid those.
Interesting. Why does it suck?
Too many mistakes happen, man. And they're booked solid. But it doesn't.
Oh, so the title companies are busy on those days.
It depends. Like, gotcha. Are you doing in-person signings, or are you doing mobile notaries? That makes it easier, where the title company doesn't care, but they still got to get all your stuff together. And it depends on what you're waiting on. If you're waiting on lien reports or HOA estoppels, like anything, like you're waiting on these things to come in, surveys, like. When you're waiting on these through the holidays, there's a lot of moving pieces in that process that it potentially could throw you for something. And that's why typically when me personally, and I'm not saying this is the right way to do it, me personally, when I start getting to like the 20, like for example of this year, when I get to the 20th, 21st, I'm usually pushing my closings into the new year. I will try to fit one or two on the 27th or 28th. But I mean, it just depends on money, what I need, and what the seller needs. But if everyone's on board to do it at the new year, I'll push it into the new year if I'm not desperate for the money.
Yeah. Yep. Interesting. It's I mean, we definitely see a little bit of a slump in sales and follow-ups and people interested in switching to like a CRM. Which I would say between Thanksgiving and Christmas, it gets a little bit slow. And then as soon as Christmas is done, it's like new year plans. People are like either like jumping or joining or anything like that. There's just like a swath of activity there. So it's intriguing to hear about it from the perspective of what happens to a real estate investor during that time. Yeah, I mean, we titled this episode Holiday Season Equals Separation Season. Separation season is I mean, I don't know if he invented it, but Carlos and I know it from a guy named Dan Martell, who is our SaaS coach. And he, around this time, like right around Thanksgiving time, he's Canadian. I don't remember when the Thanksgiving is, but he will start talking about it a lot. And what his basic gist of it is, everybody slows down during the holidays. And so it's either your time to separate from the group that slow down and continue to hustle and continue to work at the same pace, or are you going to be the type of people to slow down? And it's an interesting conversation to have, I mean, amongst the three of us as we go into this, because, I have kids, Brandon has kids, Carlos does not. I mean, Carlos has a lot of family that he goes and hangs out with, though, in holidays. I saw on his calendar that he's up in Nashville here next week, jamming with his family. But yeah, like, I've always sensed that my family wants me to slow down. And, I do feel that like energy a little bit drag, because it's like, well, they're all relaxing and they're cozy and the Christmas tree's up. And it's like, oh, sure, I would love to go join all that and enjoy it. But that sense of like, this is a great time to, because things are a little bit slower with customers, or if you're a real estate investor with sellers and buyers, to plan the year ahead, to get some deep work in, to really like almost kind of get ahead. And I have like a lot of hopes for my December here with things that I want to do to really make 2023 be phenomenal. But yeah, there's a little bit of that guilt of either if you're working, like I should be hanging out with my family, or if you're doing the opposite, to feel the other way. What do you guys think? How you approach the holidays?
Yeah, I mean, guilt. That's such a thing that, I mean, that's just how humans are wired. You kind of feel guilt for different things. Mm-hmm. I think you know what you're responsible for doing at any point. If you're doing that, I mean, I think you should feel good. You can be the Gary Vee or somebody that's like grind. I'm going to miss opening Christmas presents to record new training docs. I think that's a little much. But just from my personal perspective, some of the most fond memories I've had, probably the last, I want to say 5-6 years visiting North Carolina, since my family moved from Boise, Idaho they were just there for a couple of years, to Raleigh, North Carolina, and then recently Asheville the last year or so, is watching the Trevor annual calls. I feel like I find myself, and I want to say they're between Christmas and New Year's, but that's like one thing I'll try to catch live. I think he does it like he's done it towards the end of the week before, or that's like a really nice thing that I've done, like waking up early, like 6:37 before the family and the kids are all awake, and just kind of chilling with a cup of coffee and getting, like really thinking about like vision for the next year, and even like Trevor thinking like, your vision for the next 25 years, 10 years, 5, 3, 1, and kind of going backwards from there. So, I mean, that's like a favorite. That's like one of my favorite enjoyable things to do for work. CEO of Carrot.
Oh, is this a paid advertising?
No, it's not. This is the annual call. This is the annual call.
Are you lying because they in your company, or is this like a legit?
No, I can testify. Truth. Carlos has done it for years. I did it last year.
Yeah, this is legit. This isn't an FTX rug pull or anything like that. But yeah, I don't know. So like for me, and I always talk about that type of stuff, visioning, thinking, like deep thinking type stuff. Which one of the things I look at every morning is a Dan Martell post that says "Deep Thinking," where the real money is made, and it's just a chair that he spends time on. Talking to Dan Martell, but yeah, I don't know. Like that's something I enjoy doing, where it's even, in between Christmas and New Year's, like doing that, like just thinking about that for some motivation, watching Trevor, things like that. Obviously, to take action, and it's a little bit of a paradox. Say like deep thinking is where you make your money. Obviously, to go out and execute stuff, but being aligned on that and having a good idea of what you should do is equally as important. So that's what I like to do during the holiday times.
I wonder, like, I haven't asked Dan Martell this, but I wonder, like, I know he keeps his habits up, so he'll keep exercising and whatever he does on a daily basis. But I wonder if he spends less time doing, let's call it actual work, emailing people, calling people, texting people, writing courses, whatever he does, and instead spends more time deep working in the holidays. I'd be curious if that, because to separation season to him is more like I keep up my habits. I wake up early, I exercise, I still eat right.
Not doing more, just doing the same.
Yeah, or not doing less, doing the same. But I wonder if he does change the type of work he does during the holidays. I'll have to jump on one of his calls and ask him one of these days. Yeah. My diet. Yeah, that's something I could definitely improve on. My nutrition when I'm visiting the family, just when there's chicken nuggets and frozen pizzas made all the time, I just crush those. And ice cream. So yeah, separation season, I could work on that for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good time. Like the end of the year is naturally where you're like setting goals and thinking about the next year, analyzing, recapping your entire year. So I think it's a good mix of like holiday season, maybe the business slowing down to spend a little bit more time than that. You don't want to wait until it's like January to start thinking about what you want to do. Like you should ideally be doing that already. But yeah, I don't know. It's a crazy stretch of years that we've had here, as we've alluded to at the beginning of the episode. So yeah, definitely don't feel guilty for spending time trying to plot, your business and your life, how you can improve and learn from the last couple of years for sure. I remember 3 years ago, Brandon, you used to take I don't know if you did it many times, but you took like the whole month off of December, like you and the team, right?
Yeah,
how did that feel?
Yeah, it was nice, man. I was making a good amount of money. I don't think it was the whole month. I think it was about 3 weeks. Actually, well, yeah, then we waited and we came back the first full week of January, so it might have been a month. I don't know. It was good, man. But obviously I felt some sort of way of like, man, am I missing out on deals
Yeah, like, were you doing zero things with sellers? Zero, like nothing?
No, I mean, I always work, but we had a couple closings we had to finalize, so it wasn't like you literally shut the phones off and don't respond to emails and return calls, but it was we stopped marketing, the cold calling, the direct mail, all of that stuff. We just shut it all down. Everyone went home for a month. It's and I can't remember, but if I had flips, obviously you got to check on flips. Obviously, there's still all the stuff and answer rental people's problems and all that stuff, collect rent. All that stuff still goes on. There's always those fixed work things that you have to do, but not necessarily so much when it comes to the marketing and the lead gen and the selling and all that stuff. That's what we stopped. I'm probably going to do it again this year. I don't know. We'll see. Just focus on REI Ops Center.
I'd say. I mean, you may be shutting down that part, but there's going to be a lot of other stuff going on. See that whiteboard behind Brandon there? There's a lot of stuff going on.
A lot of to-dos to get REI Ops Center released on time.
Yeah. Exciting stuff, though. Stay tuned. We'll be talking about it here very soon. We almost... yesterday we were talking about with REI Ops Center, we wanted to take champagne bottles and smash it on our computers because we finished a giant part of the application, so it felt great.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean... a lot of people are cutting down. I mean, listen, Elon Musk he lost 75% of his staff, they said.
From that email he sent out?
Yeah, like you got to be hardcore and all that, and then I guess but people look at it as a bad thing. Like, you got to think like Elon Musk is so highly intelligent that they think that he's gonna fail. So I love Elon. I've read his book, you know what I mean, learned about him, and I just don't see how people think that they're smarter than him. And I don't mean on an IQ standpoint, but when it comes to running a business, like coders, Twitter employees are sitting here talking shit on Twitter. Like, they're quitting Twitter, exiting, and then using Twitter to lament about their problems. And they're like, oh, he's going to have a hard time fixing this without us, and blah, blah, blah. All the good people are gone. We can find greener pastures elsewhere. I'm like, you honestly think that you're smarter and you know that this is going to fail because he lost you? Think about it. He lost, I forget what, I was reading this thing, and his annual his annual employee costs, even if you assume $200K an employee on average for employee, and you lose 75% of them, right? You lose the majority of your employees. They were saying his annual employee salary cost went from 1 point something billion down to a quarter, $250 million a year. He just saved a shit ton of bloated costs through a time that people notoriously slow down. And he got them to do it himself. He didn't have to fire them. He didn't ask anything. They just quit. And it's there was a point when Elon had somebody leaking Tesla information. And this just goes to how intelligent this guy is. They were leaking Tesla information, and the people were like, how did you find out? So he sent out an email to every single employee, but inside the email, he made slight changes, an extra space between this word, an extra space between this one. And he did it in a way where it was unnoticeable, but it was like a binary.
For each employee got a different email?
Every employee, he sent out every employee the same email, the same one. But there was in each email, there was only one discrepancy, one change. One person had a space between this letter, another one had a space between here, another one had extra space or an extra comma or whatever it was. So whenever they leaked that information, right, and that email became public from Tesla, he was able to use it as a fingerprint to identify the exact employee that was trading, selling insider secrets and but you gotta think. Somebody that smart that thought that out, and that was his solution to this. As he's cleaning, and people don't look at it, people think Elon's coming to just take over the company. I mean, there's no way that guy's doing that. He's there to clean house. He wants you to quit.
I can't think of any other CEO that works harder than that man.
Yeah, and they're questioning him.
Right. Everybody else is I'm a CEO, I make a ton of money, and I bring in people to make good decisions. This dude fucking gets in there and makes the fucking decisions. And he sleeps on the floor. He's working 14 hours a day. Like, how can you like doubt somebody that's willing to do that much personal work?
Doesn't
to
matter,
like
man.
get in there.
People are haters, bro. Especially these employees. Employees are the worst fucking people because they feel like they deserve everything, but they don't want to do anything. And I'm not talking. I mean, I'm just saying in general. Because look at these Twitter employees. Or how about Elon is now being sued by his shareholders of Tesla for getting paid $56 billion in compensation and not having a schedule. And the thing was, when Elon made that deal with the shareholders, right? And it was board approved, an outside company approved it. It was all done on the up and up. He took Tesla from $50 billion valuation to a $600 billion valuation. He hit 11 of the 12 checkpoints. And someone's complaining that he got paid too much. And they're like, well, you can't document your hours, was one of their arguments. You can't document how you earn that much money. It looks like you do so many other things. And he's like, his response was, I pretty much am always working. It is impossible for me to do a punch card style. I clock in, I clock out. That wouldn't make sense for me because I am just always working.
We were talking about it in a leadership meeting that I had this week about the Twitter thing, and we looked at it, or it was brought up to look at it in the other direction of like, yes, he might be losing all of these people who are not willing to work this way, but everybody else out there who's like, I would love to go work with Elon and be a part of this, and I'm willing to work this hard, will then start submitting applications to come in and do that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness!
He could just like be attracting the talent he needs to do what he needs.
Your vibe
he will,
your tribe. Your vibe attracts your tribe. And those people who bitched about it on Twitter about Twitter after quitting Twitter, come on, dude. Like, you're better than this. Like, you're smarter than that. Like, use another platform at least. You know what I mean? Like, come on. And I don't know. I just think like, and he owns it. It's a privately held company now. He bought it out. He could do whatever the fuck he wants. He spent $44 billion, albeit he raised investor money, so it wasn't just him. And you know, I heard you had to have a minimum of $100 million to invest to go on with him in Twitter. And I will say, if I had $100 million just fucking sitting around, just chump change, laying in my couch cushion, I would have been there. Not because of the company. It's like betting on the horse versus betting on the jockey. I would have bet on the jockey.
Yeah.
Every day until I see something change in that man's personality. The
Looping
second
it back,
he moves out of his boxable, I'm out.
Looping it back to FTX really quick, and we can continue the Elon conversation. But did you see that SBF had somebody reach out to him for some type of partnership, like I guess for Elon to endorse FTX? And Elon tweeted it that he like could tell he was phony or fishy because he said he was like he had $3 billion liquid to invest, but then could also do like 5 or 10 billion. Did you see that? He leaked like the tweets or the messages.
I did not see that, but I understand what you're saying. It didn't add up. The math
and Elon immediately was like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't add up, and that's the thing, man. Those cagey people, bro. Got to watch out for them. But like Elon just works all the time, man, and I respect that. And you know, he didn't invent Tesla. He didn't invent Twitter. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these things he puts his money into.
Hyperloop.
Yeah, like
Boring Company.
He believes in it and he excels at it. And now people are saying like Tesla people and SpaceX people, they're all worried that Twitter is going to be too much for him. And it's like, bro, all you guys do is complain. Just let my man do his thing.
Yeah. He's probably going to be in there for a couple of months and then find the right team, build them up, and just like he did at Tesla and SpaceX and all of his other companies.
Yeah, and he'll find. I'm sure he's going to find a way to integrate Twitter. You know, he'll have fucking astronauts just tweeting shit from outer space and SpaceX. He'll have Tesla cars just talking to each other through Twitter. You know what I mean? Like, forget Twitter bots. It'll be Tesla bots on Twitter. And, like, I mean, he's got his new Neuralink thing, and he'll probably just find a way to integrate Twitter. You could do tweets just by thinking about tweeting. I mean, there's so much shit that he could do with all of his companies, and he'll find a way. I read that he brought in Tesla engineers and scientists into Twitter to see about how legit their tech was and what they could do with it. So who knows? Anyway.
An interesting man.
Would not bet against that guy. I think I would almost say that he probably expected some level of people leaving. Maybe not like I even saw maybe a tweet or a video of like did you see the light thing going by where it was like Elon Musk is and it was just all these insults.
Haters are gonna hate, bro.
Did you see that? Literally, and it was on Twitter HQ. It was literally at their facility. Somebody took it's like almost like projector lights. You should look at that. And it's just like calling them all these horrible things. But I don't know. I feel like that's kind of just where the world's going. Like he's cleaning up. I'm a huge fan of Elon. He's cleaning up, freedom of speech, all that stuff. So I think he's going to get people that would probably work for way cheaper that are just dedicated to the mission of freedom of speech or whatever, Twitter's kind of purpose, core values are, which is exciting. So 100% bet the jockey.
He's going to bring back Vine. So
love that.
I think the more and more you're seeing TikTok as being, the FBI is worried about TikTok now, the government's worried about TikTok, parents are worried about TikTok, even China is apparently worried about TikTok. Right? They don't even let. Well, no, they don't even let. I think it's like 13 or 12. Like, there's a certain age of kids that aren't allowed on TikTok.
Love that.
But in America,
they're socialists and all, but as a parent, I love that.
But it's their own fucking country of their own app, and they don't even let their own kids on it.
Mm-hmm.
But in the U.S., we are. But I think Vine is like it's almost it's. I mean, some people say TikTok copied Vine, but Vine is kind of like a form of TikTok, a more archaic form of it. But if Twitter brought back Vine, I could see him bringing back in video into your basic one-dimensional texting type of app, and that could really do some stuff. Plus, I mean, he's linking it together with his other companies. Mm-hmm. I see Vine coming back 100%. I see a pay model on Twitter. I see all that stuff coming. My man ain't going down. Plus, even if he did, who gives a shit? It's $44 billion. I mean, he's still
going to Mars.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
I wonder if he's looking for a real estate data company. I wonder if that could apply into any of his stuff.
I mean, he'll be looking for the ways to buy the land underneath. His hyperloops, his borings. All about the future. His dreams for like Tesla cars, like just just go into the ground. I think it's
100%. All right. Well, that was Pulse of the Week. I think we just cut in Pulse of the Week into our main topic.
I know. We just kind of like zoomed right through that. I can't think of any other Pulse of the Weeks.
No, I think that was pretty good, though. Pretty good topics this week. Mm-hmm. I felt like it was a lot about what's going on in the current market and current economic cycle going into the holidays.
Absolutely. Which people need to know about. And, it's interesting. You get into this like run of day to day. Like, what's the problems today that I need to solve? What are the activities that I need to do today? Taking a little step back and seeing some of the bigger picture. Not even the bigger picture, the medium picture is important for people to be aware of.
Yeah. But we'll be back next week after Thanksgiving. Fill everyone in on our Thanksgiving dinners, football.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait.
Right. It's going to be great. All right, guys. See you next week.
See you next week.
Have a fun weekend.
See you guys.
I'm logging